Hey guys, nothing in this world has the power to offend you, humiliate you, or make you feel disrespected until the exact moment you voluntarily give it your permission to do so. Most people live their entire lives believing that respect is a fragile currency they must constantly fight for, and that when someone hurls an insult their way, they have been genuinely damaged. You walk into a crowded room. Someone makes a condescending remark about your physical appearance or your career choices, and your biological reaction is instantaneous. Your heart rate immediately spikes. You feel a heavy burning sensation in your chest. Your face turns bright red, and you feel the overwhelming, desperate urge to fiercely defend yourself or verbally attack them right back. You firmly believe that their harsh words have actually harmed your character. But the ancient Stoic philosophers understood a profound psychological secret that completely dismantles this reactive state. They realize that the feeling of being offended is fundamentally an illusion. The great Stoic teacher Epictetus, a man who spent his early life enduring the brutal, degrading realities of being a Roman slave, laid down the absolute foundation of emotional invincibility when he stated that it is not the person who gives abuse or blows who affronts you, but rather the view you take of these things as insulting. He explicitly warned his students that when anyone provokes you, you must be absolutely assured that it is your own opinion which provokes you. To truly grasp the magnitude of this liberating truth, you must logically analyze the basic anatomy of human interaction. When a highly competitive coworker at your corporate office sharply criticizes the financial presentation you just spent 3 weeks working on, or when a stranger on the internet leaves a deeply toxic comment on your personal photograph, what exactly is happening in physical reality? They are simply pushing air out of their lungs to create vibrating sound waves in the room. Or they are pressing their fingers against a plastic keyboard to arrange glowing pixels on a digital screen. These sound waves and digital pixels possess absolutely zero physical mass. They do not have sharp edges, they cannot cut your physical skin, and they absolutely cannot force their way inside your brain. The external event is completely neutral and entirely harmless by itself. The actual injury only occurs during the second step of the process, which happens entirely inside your own mind. You must actively catch those vibrating sound waves, translate them into a specific meaning, decide that the meaning is terrible, and then voluntarily stab yourself with that judgment. You are literally doing the emotional damage to yourself on their behalf. You are doing their dirty work for them. Imagine you are driving your 15-year-old sedan down the highway, and a wealthy driver in a $100,000 luxury vehicle pulls up next to you, laughs condescendingly at your older car, and makes a rude gesture before speeding away. If you tie your personal self-worth to his external approval, you will spend the next 40 miles gripping the steering wheel in intense anger, feeling completely disrespected and deeply insecure about your financial status. But what if you simply viewed him as a highly confused, deeply unhappy person who foolishly believes that metal and plastic define human value? The exact same external event occurs, but your emotional damage drops to absolute zero. The practical Stoic application for your daily life is to recognize this psychological trap and completely stop consenting to your own humiliation. The very next time someone attempts to insult you, you must immediately remind yourself that their words are nothing more than empty noise. You must insert a massive, deliberate pause between their stimulus and your reaction. By fully accepting the brutal reality that absolutely no one can ever disrespect you without your active cooperation, you instantly take back all of your emotional power, rendering every single insult against you completely useless and leaving your peace of mind entirely unbroken. To deeply understand the anatomy of an insult, we must practice a fundamental technique the ancient Stoics called physical definition. The Roman emperor Marcus Aurelius was famous for completely stripping away the glamorous illusions of his highly privileged life to maintain his firm grip on reality. When he was served an incredibly expensive, luxurious vintage of wine at an imperial banquet, he did not view it as a magnificent status symbol or a reason to feel superior to others. He silently reminded himself that the fancy drink was absolutely nothing more than the fermented juice of crushed grapes. When he looked at his own expensive, purple royal robes, he noted that they were simply sheep wool dyed with the slimy blood of shellfish. He meticulously stripped every single object down to its bare, objective, physical reality, entirely removing all the subjective human value judgments that usually accompanied them. You must apply this exact same ruthless, objective logic to the insults and disrespectful comments you face in your daily life. We previously touched on the reality that insults are merely sound waves vibrating through the air. But the Stoics go much deeper into the psychology of how those sound waves actually become human suffering. According to the philosopher Epictetus, every single event in your life has two handles, one by which it can be safely carried, and the other by which it absolutely cannot. When someone disrespects you, if you grab the handle of anger, resentment, and a damaged ego, you will find the burden completely impossible to bear, and it will tear your peace of mind to shreds. But if you grab the handle of objective reality, recognizing that their words are just meaningless noises produced by a human larynx, the burden becomes incredibly light and entirely manageable. Imagine you are sitting in a highly important corporate meeting on a Wednesday afternoon. You present a new marketing strategy that you have been developing for an entire month. Suddenly, a highly aggressive colleague interrupts you, dramatically rolls his eyes, and tells the entire room that your ideas are completely outdated and entirely useless. If you view this event through the lens of your fragile ego, you will instantly feel a massive surge of humiliation. You will begin to tell yourself a terrifying story that your professional reputation is permanently ruined, that everyone in the room secretly hates you, and that your corporate career is effectively over. But what is the actual physical reality of that specific moment? A human being sitting in a leather chair exhaled air through his vocal cords, creating specific sounds that conveyed his personal, highly subjective disagreement with a business document. That is the entire event. He did not physically strike you. He did not steal the money out of your bank account. He did not force you to agree with his flawed assessment. The profound humiliation you are currently feeling is entirely manufactured by your own internal dialogue. You are the one writing the tragic script inside your own head. The ancient Stoics realized that we are constantly acting as our own worst enemies, taking neutral external events and eagerly injecting them with massive amounts of toxic emotional meaning. The highly practical Stoic exercise for this specific stage of your psychological training is to aggressively filter your own internal vocabulary. The very next time someone says something disrespectful to you, you must absolutely refuse to use value-laden language when describing the event to yourself. Do not tell yourself that you were brutally humiliated, totally embarrassed, or unfairly attacked. You must simply state the objective facts. Tell yourself that a person spoke certain words and absolutely nothing more. By deliberately stripping away the dramatic emotional labels and completely refusing to add your own subjective commentary to the raw physical facts, you effectively neutralize the deadly poison of the insult before it can ever enter your bloodstream, ensuring that your emotional stability remains entirely under your own absolute command. Once you have successfully stripped away the toxic emotional labels from the events in your daily life, you are completely ready to master the ultimate physical and verbal response to disrespect, which we will call the Cato reaction. The ancient Stoics believed that how you physically respond to an insult determines whether the insult actually exists at all. To illustrate this profound concept, we must look at the life of the great Roman statesman Cato the Younger. Cato was an incredibly powerful and highly respected politician, yet he deliberately walked the streets of Rome with absolute humility. One day, while Cato was visiting the crowded public baths, a highly aggressive stranger suddenly pushed him and struck him. After the chaotic situation calmed down, the stranger eventually realized that he had just assaulted one of the most important men in the entire Roman Republic. Completely terrified of the severe punishment he might receive, the man rushed to Cato and desperately begged for his forgiveness. But Cato did not punish the man, and he did not even offer a gracious pardon. Instead, Cato looked at him with a completely blank expression and calmly stated that he did not remember being struck. The philosopher Seneca later praised this exact moment, noting that Cato showed an infinitely finer spirit by completely refusing to acknowledge the blow than he ever would have by getting angry and seeking revenge. On another occasion, a political rival blatantly disrespected Cato during a heated argument by spitting directly in his face. Cato did not draw a weapon, and he did not scream. He simply wiped his face and calmly joked that people were entirely wrong to say that his rival did not know how to use his mouth. The Stoics deeply understood the fundamental logic of human conflict. An insult is essentially a psychological transaction. It absolutely requires a desperate sender and a willing receiver. The person insulting you is actively trying to hand you a heavy, toxic package of shame, anger, or deep insecurity. But if you completely refuse to reach out your hands and accept the delivery, the sender is left standing there awkwardly, forced to hold their own toxic package. By refusing to respond with anger, or by using self-deprecating humor, you are paradoxically utilizing the most effective and powerful response possible. You are entirely robbing them of the twisted pleasure of having successfully upset you. Consider how this powerful dynamic plays out in your modern daily life. Imagine you are attending a large neighborhood barbecue, and a highly arrogant neighbor loudly makes a condescending joke about the older, inexpensive clothing you are wearing, secretly hoping to embarrass you in front of the entire community. Your immediate biological instinct is to fiercely defend your financial status and hurl a sharp counter-insult right back at him. But if you apply the Cato reaction, you do the exact opposite. You smile warmly and loudly agree with him, perhaps adding that it is an absolute miracle that the shirt has survived this many trips through the washing machine. By laughing at yourself, you instantly diffuse the tension. You make the neighbor look incredibly petty, and you demonstrate absolute confidence. If humor does not come naturally to you, you can simply utilize the power of complete silence. You look directly at the person with a relaxed expression. Let 3 seconds of highly uncomfortable silence pass, and then calmly turn your attention to someone else, as if the insulter does not even exist. The practical Stoic advice for this stage of your journey is to actively train yourself to never return fire. The very next time someone hurls a petty insult at you, you must become a psychological wall of solid stone, where their harsh words bounce completely harmlessly off you. By greeting their disrespect with absolute indifference or a cheerful joke, you instantly suffocate their hostile intentions and maintain the supreme, unbroken tranquility of your own mind. While humor is an incredibly powerful tool for deflecting disrespect, there are many situations where a joke is not the appropriate response, or where you simply do not have the energy to construct a clever comeback. For these specific moments, the ancient Stoics developed an even more devastating psychological defense, which we will call the rock technique. The great Stoic philosopher Epictetus presented a brilliant and highly unusual challenge to his students to illustrate this concept. He instructed them to go outside, stand directly in front of a large, inanimate stone, and brutally slander that stone with the absolute worst insults they could possibly imagine. He then asked his students what actual physical effect their angry words would produce. The stone, obviously, would not react at all. It would not cry, it would not turn red, and it would not hurl an angry insult back. Epictetus then delivered the ultimate psychological lesson, stating that if a human being listens to harsh insults exactly like a stone, the slanderer has absolutely no advantage and zero power over him. To truly understand the supreme power of absolute silence, you must recognize that human conflict absolutely requires active fuel to survive. An insult is essentially a desperate request for your emotional participation. When an aggressive person insults you, they are actively begging you to validate their attack by showing signs of visible distress, severe anger, or desperate defensiveness. They desperately need you to complete the emotional circuit, but when you apply the rock technique, you completely refuse to complete that circuit. You deny them the exact emotional reaction they are starving for. The Roman philosopher Seneca pointed out that refusing to respond to an insult is paradoxically one of the most effective and powerful responses possible. Your complete silence is incredibly disconcerting to the insulter. By entirely robbing them of the twisted pleasure of having successfully upset you, you leave them feeling deeply frustrated, highly confused, and entirely powerless. You essentially force them to stand there alone, awkwardly holding the heavy, toxic package of their own severe insecurity. Consider how this profound dynamic plays out in a highly stressful modern environment. Imagine you are sitting in a crowded conference room at your corporate office, presenting a major financial strategy that you have meticulously prepared for weeks. Suddenly, a deeply insecure and highly competitive coworker interrupts your presentation to make a condescending remark about your intelligence, secretly hoping to trigger an emotional meltdown in front of the entire executive management team. Your immediate biological instinct is to fiercely defend your professional reputation and verbally attack them right back across the large mahogany table. But if you embrace the Stoic philosophy, you become the stone. You stop talking. You look directly into their eyes with a completely blank, relaxed, and unbothered expression. You allow 5 entire seconds of heavy, suffocating silence to completely fill the room. You do not frown, you do not cross your arms, and you absolutely do not offer a single word of emotional defense. You simply let their hostile words hang in the empty air, completely exposing their petty behavior to everyone else in the room. Then, without missing a single beat, you calmly return to your presentation as if that coworker never even opened their mouth. The highly practical Stoic advice for this stage of your psychological training is to aggressively master the supreme art of the non-response. The very next time someone attempts to disrespect you, mocks your personal lifestyle choices, or tries to drag you into a toxic argument, you must completely refuse to engage in the transaction. Do not argue with their highly flawed logic. Do not try to justify your actions, and do not attempt to save your pride. Become a solid wall of gray stone. Let their harsh words bounce completely harmlessly off your impenetrable surface. By granting your critics absolutely zero reaction, you instantly suffocate their hostile intentions. You expose their hidden insecurities, and you guarantee that your own inner peace remains utterly unbroken. Once you have successfully mastered the rock technique and learned how to completely suffocate insults with absolute silence, you will inevitably reach a profound turning point in your psychological training, which we will call the mirror of ignorance. At this critical stage, you begin to see your attackers not as powerful enemies who are capable of harming you, but as deeply flawed, highly confused, and actively suffering human beings. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, who dealt with constant betrayals and vicious political attacks during his reign, prepared himself for this reality every single morning. He wrote in his private journal that he would begin each day by telling himself that he would meet with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness, and that all of these negative behaviors were entirely due to the complete ignorance of the offenders regarding what is truly good and what is truly evil. The ancient Stoics drew heavily upon the teachings of Socrates, who famously declared that absolutely no human soul is ever willingly deprived of the truth. When people act with cruelty, disrespect, or malice, they do so involuntarily, driven by a deeply corrupted value system. The Stoics referred to this tragic psychological condition as amathia, which translates to a profound moral blindness or a severe disease of the mind. To truly understand this concept, You must recognize the fundamental anatomy of human malice. A person who is genuinely happy, who possesses a tranquil mind, and who is highly confident in their own moral character never feels the desperate, toxic urge to tear another human being down. The desire to insult someone is always born from a place of severe internal weakness. When an aggressive person attacks you, they are not actually seeing your true character at all. They are simply looking into a massive mirror of their own deep insecurities, their own profound failures, and their own hidden self-hatred. And they are frantically projecting all of that internal psychological waste directly onto you. Think about how you would react to a physically blind person. If a blind man accidentally bumps into you on a crowded city sidewalk, you do not become violently angry or deeply offended, because you completely understand that he lacks the physical ability to see where he is going. The philosopher Epictetus argued that you must treat the person who verbally insults you with the exact same level of profound pity. They are morally blind. They have completely lost the ability to distinguish between right and wrong. And by acting with such blatant disrespect, they are actively staining their own character, which is the absolute worst damage a human being can ever inflict upon themselves. Consider how this powerful shift in perspective applies to a modern situation. Imagine you are attending a large Thanksgiving dinner with your extended family, and a highly cynical uncle deliberately mocks your recent career change or makes a condescending remark about your financial status in front of the entire dining room. Your immediate biological instinct is to feel a burning sense of indignation and to strike back to defend your pride. But if you look closely at this uncle through the objective Stoic lens, you will quickly realize that he has been divorced 3 times. He is completely buried in massive credit card debt, and he is utterly miserable in his own daily existence. His insult has absolutely nothing to do with your actual value as a human being. It is simply a desperate, tragic cry from a person who is drowning in his own psychological misery. The highly practical Stoic advice for this stage of your journey is to actively replace your sudden anger with genuine pity. The very next time someone hurls a disrespectful comment your way, you must absolutely refuse to take it personally. Instead of feeling deeply offended, you must look directly at them and silently recognize their profound internal suffering. Tell yourself that they are simply acting from a deeply flawed assumption about reality. By radically shifting your internal response from defensive anger to objective pity, you completely disarm their verbal attack. You elevate yourself far above their toxic behavior, ensuring that their moral blindness can never penetrate the impenetrable walls of your own peaceful mind. Once you fully realize that the person attacking you is completely blinded by their own psychological misery, you must take the next crucial step in your Stoic training, which is to construct an absolute, unbreakable barrier between their chaotic ignorance and your profound peace. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius ruled an enormous empire constantly threatened by barbaric invasions, political treachery, and a devastating global plague. Yet he maintained absolute tranquility by retreating into what the Stoics called the inner citadel. He explicitly wrote in his private journal that the mind freed from passions is an impenetrable fortress, and that a human being has absolutely no more secure place of refuge for all time. To deeply understand this magnificent concept, you must visualize your mind as a massive, highly fortified stone castle. The walls are incredibly thick, the iron gates are tightly locked, and you are the supreme ruler sitting safely inside. The external world, including the highly disrespectful comments of your competitive co-workers, the malicious gossip of your jealous neighbors, and the toxic negativity of strangers on the internet, is completely stuck on the outside of those massive walls. The brutal and highly liberating truth of human psychology is that an insult has absolutely zero physical power to actually breach your defenses. When someone disrespects you, they are essentially standing in the muddy moat entirely outside your castle, angrily shouting up at the solid stone bricks. Their harsh words are nothing more than vibrating air, and they absolutely cannot force their way inside your brain to cause you emotional pain. There is only one possible way for an enemy to successfully invade your inner citadel. You must willingly walk down from your secure watchtower, personally unlock the heavy iron gates, deliberately lower the wooden drawbridge, and actively invite the enemy inside your own mind. When you feel deeply offended, when you completely lose your temper, or when you frantically begin to defend your fragile ego against a petty criticism, you are voluntarily surrendering your own fortress from the inside out. You are committing psychological treason against yourself. Imagine you are attending a highly stressful neighborhood association meeting on a Tuesday evening, and a deeply bitter resident deliberately insults the expensive landscaping of your new suburban home, loudly complaining in front of 50 people that your choices are ruining the aesthetic of the entire street. Your immediate biological instinct is to feel a massive, burning sense of public humiliation. You want to immediately lower the drawbridge, charge outside into the conflict, and aggressively attack his own flawed property choices. But the very second you engage in that bitter transaction, you have abandoned your royal throne and stepped down into the filthy mud with him. You have allowed his meaningless opinions to completely dictate your internal emotional state. The highly practical Stoic advice for this stage of your journey is to actively maintain the heavy locks on your mental gates at all times. The very next time you face a blatant act of disrespect, you must consciously choose to retreat upward into your highest watchtower. You must look down at the person hurling the insult and calmly observe their desperate, pathetic attempt to breach your walls. Do not get angry, do not get defensive, and absolutely do not lower the drawbridge just to prove a point. Tell yourself repeatedly that their words are merely noise bouncing harmlessly off your impenetrable stone armor. By strictly controlling your own assent, which is your personal permission to feel harmed, you mathematically guarantee that absolutely no one can ever occupy your mind without your explicit invitation. You remain the absolute, undisputed monarch of your own emotional kingdom, perfectly safe, completely untouchable, and entirely at peace within the ultimate sanctuary of your own making. Once you are standing safely inside the impenetrable walls of your inner citadel, looking down at the people shouting angrily from the muddy moat below, a profound shift in your perspective must take place. you will slowly realize that the individuals who are desperately trying to attack you do not actually deserve your fierce anger, nor do they deserve your bitter resentment. Instead, they deserve your genuine pity. The ancient Stoic teacher Epictetus introduced a revolutionary psychological concept when he stated that just as we naturally pity the physically blind and the physically lame, we should equally pity those who are blinded and lamed in their most sovereign faculties, which is their fundamental ability to distinguish between what is truly good and what is truly evil. To deeply understand this, we must look at the ancient Socratic principle that absolutely no human being ever does wrong on purpose. When someone hurls a vicious insult at you, they genuinely believe, in their highly distorted and corrupted state of mind, that they are doing the necessary thing to protect their own fragile ego. The Stoics called this tragic condition amatheia, which translates to a profound moral blindness or a severe spiritual sickness. Think about how you naturally react to a physical disability. If a physically blind man walking down a crowded city sidewalk accidentally bumps into you and steps heavily on your foot, your immediate reaction is not violent anger. You do not scream at him, you do not feel deeply offended, and you certainly do not demand a fierce retaliation, because you clearly see that he simply lacks the physical ability to navigate the world safely. The philosopher Seneca argued that we must treat the morally blind with the exact same level of supreme compassion. He noted that a truly wise person looks upon the angry, the arrogant, and the disrespectful in the exact same way that a highly skilled physician looks upon his severely ill patients. When a delirious patient suffering from a dangerously high fever aggressively insults the doctor who is desperately trying to heal him, the doctor absolutely does not take the insult personally and does not strike the patient back. The doctor completely understands that the harsh words are merely a tragic symptom of the terrible disease. Consider how this immensely powerful paradigm shift applies directly to your modern daily life. Imagine you are driving to your corporate office on a highly stressful Monday morning, and another driver aggressively cuts you off in heavy traffic, vigorously honks his horn, and screams a terrible insult at you before speeding away. Your immediate biological instinct is to chase him down and fiercely scream an even worse insult right back at his window. But if you analyze this chaotic event through the objective lens of Stoicism, you will quickly realize that this angry driver is living an utterly miserable existence. He is likely rushing to a career he absolutely hates, or is completely drowning in severe financial debt. His disrespectful behavior has absolutely nothing to do with your personal human worth. It is simply the desperate symptom of a human being who has completely lost control of his own mental faculties. He is actively punishing himself far more severely than he could ever punish you, because he is forced to live inside that miserable, furious mind every single second of the day. The highly practical Stoic advice for this critical stage of your psychological training is to actively replace your natural defensive anger with objective compassion. The very next time a competitive coworker, a bitter family member, or a random stranger blatantly disrespects you, you must completely refuse to view them as a threatening enemy. Instead, You must immediately view them as a deeply troubled patient suffering from a severe psychological fever. Tell yourself silently that they simply do not know any better, and that their toxic behaviors seemed like the absolute right thing for them to do in their current state of blinding ignorance. By radically shifting your internal response from defensive rage to calm pity, you completely disarm their verbal attack. You elevate yourself far above their toxic emotional transaction, and you permanently secure the absolute, unbroken tranquility of your own mind. Once you learn to view your attackers with objective compassion rather than defensive rage, you must turn the analytical mirror back onto yourself and confront the ultimate root cause of your emotional pain, which is the massive vulnerability of your own ego. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus explicitly warned his students that if you ever turn your attention to external things so as to wish to please anyone, you can be absolutely assured that you have completely ruined your scheme of life. To truly secure your inner citadel against disrespect, you must deeply understand a fundamental mathematical rule of human psychology. Your intense fear of being disrespected is exactly proportionate to your desperate desire to be respected. You absolutely cannot possess one without the other. They are two sides of the exact same coin. If you constantly demand that the people around you acknowledge your achievements, validate your intelligence, and treat you with high honor, you are voluntarily painting a massive red target directly on your own chest. You are telling the chaotic outside world exactly where your psychological armor is the absolute weakest. When a harsh insult finally hits you, it only causes severe emotional pain because it successfully strikes the highly inflated ego that you have been so carefully protecting. Consider the ancient Stoic approach to public recognition and fame. The philosopher Seneca deeply understood that chasing the approval of the crowd is a fool's errand, noting that being considered superior by the masses is frequently just as harmful as being despised by them. The Stoics realized that accepting the intoxicating drug of public praise meant that they would inevitably have to suffer the agonizing withdrawal of public criticism. Epictetus illustrated this dynamic by asking his students to imagine a highly exclusive social banquet. He noted that if you want to be invited to the banquet, you have to pay the required price, which almost always involves flattering the wealthy host, laughing at his terrible jokes, and compromising your own dignity. If you absolutely refuse to pay that degrading price, it is completely illogical to feel disrespected or left out when you do not receive the golden invitation. You kept your moral integrity, and they kept their superficial dinner party. It is a perfectly fair trade. Consider how this dangerous vulnerability plays out in a modern professional environment. Imagine you are working at a highly competitive corporate firm, and you spend 6 months leading a massive, highly successful financial project. During the final executive presentation, the regional vice president completely ignores your contribution and publicly praises a different, far less qualified coworker instead. If your primary goal was to feed your fragile ego and secure your reputation as the most brilliant employee in the entire building, you will feel deeply betrayed, intensely disrespected, and completely crushed. You will spend the next 3 weeks complaining bitterly to anyone who will listen about the massive unfairness of the situation. But what if your only goal was simply to do excellent work for its own sake? What if your personal standard of success was entirely internal? The objective quality of your hard work remains exactly the same, whether the vice president praises it or completely ignores it. By completely dropping your desperate demand for external validation, the perceived disrespect instantly loses all of its toxic power over your mind. The highly practical Stoic advice for this advanced stage of your psychological training is to actively and deliberately starve your own ego. You must deliberately stop seeking the applause of your family members, your co-workers, and your society. When you perform a generous act, do it completely silently. When you achieve a major personal success, do not loudly advertise it just to collect empty compliments. By voluntarily surrendering the exhausting desire to be honored and praised, you permanently remove the very target that disrespect aims to hit. You become completely immune to contempt because you no longer require admiration, allowing you to walk through the chaotic world with an absolute, unbreakable confidence that relies on absolutely no one but yourself. Once you have actively starved your own ego and completely abandoned the desperate need for external validation, you reach the absolute pinnacle of Stoic philosophy, which is the state of ultimate emotional invincibility. The philosopher Epictetus laid down the exact formula for this supreme psychological state when he declared that you can be completely unconquerable if you absolutely refuse to enter into any combat where the victory is not entirely in your own power. To truly understand what it means to be invincible, we must look at how the ancient Stoics viewed the ultimate human contest. They did not admire the massive, muscular athletes wrestling in the dirt at the Olympic Games, because those highly trained men could still be easily defeated by a stronger opponent, a sudden physical injury, or a highly biased judge. Instead, Epictetus argued that the true invincible athlete is the person who is in a constant, daily wrestling match with their own internal impressions. This person trains relentlessly to never be thrown off balance by things that reside outside of their direct control. They realize that true invincibility does not mean that you will never be attacked, heavily criticized, or blatantly disrespected by the chaotic world around you. People will always hurl harsh insults, spread toxic rumors, and aggressively attempt to tear you down because of their own profound moral blindness and internal misery. True invincibility simply means that no matter how fiercely the outside world attacks your character, they absolutely cannot force you to grant your internal assent to their false judgments. You completely withhold your personal permission to be harmed. Epictetus instructed his students to confront every single harsh impression and immediately say to it that you are merely an impression, and not at all the thing you appear to be. You forcefully test the insult to see if it involves things within your control. And since the disrespectful opinions of others are entirely outside of your control, you calmly conclude that the insult is absolutely nothing to you. Imagine reaching this profound level of psychological freedom in your modern daily life. You walk into a massive, highly intimidating corporate boardroom filled with intensely critical executives, or you attend a highly stressful holiday gathering surrounded by deeply bitter relatives. Instead of feeling a heavy, suffocating anxiety in your chest, you feel an overwhelming sense of absolute, unshakable calm. You are no longer frantically scanning the room to see if people approve of your physical appearance, your career choices, or your personal financial status. If they enthusiastically shower you with praise, you remain entirely grounded, knowing that their loud applause is nothing more than vibrating sound waves. If they openly disrespect you and attempt to humiliate you, you remain entirely peaceful, looking at them with the objective, unwavering compassion of a highly skilled physician treating a severely delirious patient. You have completely stopped playing their exhausting, mathematically unwinnable game of social status. You no longer hand over the precious keys to your inner citadel to jealous co-workers, arrogant neighbors, or miserable strangers on the internet. The highly practical Stoic advice for this final stage of your psychological journey is to radically reclaim the absolute ownership of your own mind. You must deeply realize that human respect is not a fragile currency that you have to constantly fight for, but rather an internal state of unbreakable dignity that you permanently grant to yourself. By completely surrendering the exhausting illusion that you need to manage what everybody else thinks about you, you instantly win the only battle that actually matters. You secure a state of profound, unshakable tranquility that absolutely no human being can ever take away from you. You become a solid, impenetrable wall of stone against the unpredictable and shifting winds of human ignorance, standing firmly in your own moral virtue, perfectly safe, completely untouchable, and entirely free for the rest of your human existence. You have now walked the complete path to emotional invincibility. You deeply understand that the heavy, suffocating weight of disrespect is entirely manufactured inside your own mind, and you hold the absolute supreme power to drop that weight right now. The ancient Stoic philosopher Epictetus promised that you can be completely unconquerable if you absolutely refuse to enter into any combat where the victory is not entirely in your own power. You must immediately stop fighting exhausting, invisible battles against the deeply flawed opinions of the crowd. You absolutely do not need to demand respect from a chaotic world that barely understands itself. You only need to build an impenetrable inner citadel. Completely strip away your fragile ego and look upon your attackers with the calm, objective pity of a master physician. When you finally stop consenting to your own humiliation, you instantly transform from a helpless victim into an absolutely untouchable force of nature. The choice is now entirely yours. You can either continue to be a fragile puppet, constantly manipulated by the shifting winds of human ignorance, or you can become the solid, unmovable stone that completely shatters every single insult hurled against it. If you are finally ready to lock the heavy iron gates of your mind and stop giving your supreme power away to strangers, I want you to leave a comment below saying I am untouchable. If this profound Stoic philosophy has changed your perspective on human interaction today, make sure to hit the like button so this vital message can reach more people who are currently trapped in the exact same cycle of anger and anxiety. Finally, to continue building an unbreakable mind and mastering the ancient art of living. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss our future lessons. Stay strong, protect your inner citadel, and I will see you in the next video.